I live alone in a third-floor walk-up on Maple, 3 blocks from the university where I teach composition to undergraduates who still don't know the difference between a semicolon and an M-dash. The apartment is narrow, shotgun style. Kitchen flows into living room, flows into bedroom. Each space visible from the next through open doorways aligned like frames. The radiator clanks at 5 every morning. My neighbor below me, Mrs. Okafor, watches Nigerian dramas at a volume I can predict by the day of the week. Thursday means maximum volume. It's always Thursday when I'm grading. I'd driven to my sister's wedding in Vermont 3 days prior, sat through the ceremony with my jaw tight because our mother kept asking when I'd bring someone, and on the way back I stopped at a yard sale in some town whose name I've already forgotten. White colonial house, gravel driveway, card tables covered in the usual debris of an ended marriage or a death, books with broken spines, chipped mugs, a blender still crusted with something green. The typewriter sat at the far end. Black enamel mostly intact, keys like crooked teeth. Remington Rand. The woman running the sale said it was her father's, that he'd been a journalist before the paper folded in '03. She wanted $40. I paid $25. It fit neatly in my trunk, heavier than I expected, metal frame cold, even through my jacket when I lifted it. I set it up on the desk in my bedroom, the one that faces the window overlooking the fire escape and the maple tree that drops helicopters all over the iron grating every fall. The ribbon was ancient, fabric gone stiff and faded, but when I tapped the H key, it struck the roller with a satisfying chunk and left a clear gray letter. I typed my name, Eleanor Voss. The keys stuck a little, needed oil, but the action felt good, mechanical, and certain. That first night back, I went to bed at 11. The radiator had started its nightly tick and groan. I sleep on my side, always have, and I remember pulling the quilt up to my chin because the temperature had dropped and the landlord hadn't switched the heat to the winter setting yet. I woke at 7 to my alarm, the usual NPR murmur about infrastructure bills and overseas conflict. There was a sheet of paper in the typewriter. I stood in the doorway to my bedroom, coffee mug in hand, and stared at it. White page, neatly aligned, text covering most of the upper half. I didn't remember loading paper. I didn't remember typing. I crossed the room, linoleum cold under my bare feet, and pulled the page free. The roller released it with a crisp snap. The text described a library. Not the university library, but something older, wood-paneled, with green shaded lamps and the smell of lemon oil and dust. I was walking between the stacks, running my fingers along spines, and I couldn't find the book I needed. The call number kept changing. I looked down at the slip of paper in my hand, and the numbers bled into each other, ink spreading like a bruise. I put the page on the desk and looked at the typewriter. The keys were still. Dust motes hung in the light from the window. I picked up the page again and read it twice. The details were exact. I'd had that dream. I remember waking from it briefly around 3, disoriented, then falling back under. I taught 2 classes that day, came home, made pasta with jarred sauce, and went to bed at 10:30. I did not load paper into the typewriter. I made sure of that. I stood in front of it and checked. The roller was empty. In the morning, there was another page. This one described my old apartment in graduate school, the one with the broken heating vent and the shower that only produced scalding water or ice. I was looking for my keys, panic rising, because I was late for something important. I tore apart the couch cushions. I upended my bag. The keys were in the freezer, resting on top of a bag of frozen peas, frost coating the metal. I had dreamed that. Exactly that. I picked up the typewriter, heavy, solid, the metal cool and slightly gritty with old dust, and carried it into the living room. I set it on the coffee table, facing the couch. I could see it from my bedroom doorway. I left the roller empty. The third morning, there was a page. I was walking through a grocery store, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, and every person I passed had the same face. Not a face I recognized, just the same face repeated on every body. They didn't look at me. They pushed their carts in silence, and the squeaking wheels made a rhythm that sounded like Morse code. I tried to leave, but the automatic doors wouldn't open. I pushed against the glass, and it flexed, membranous like skin. I called my sister. She was still in Maui on her honeymoon, and I could hear the ocean in the background when she picked up. I told her about the typewriter. She laughed, said I should write a story about it, said maybe I was sleepwalking. I asked if sleepwalkers could type coherent prose while unconscious. She said stranger things had happened. Then her husband called her name and she said she had to go. I looked up Remington Rand typewriters on my laptop, found a forum for collectors. I posted a photo, asked if anyone knew of models that had unusual features, anything mechanical that might explain autonomous typing. Someone replied within an hour. Nice find. Standard office model, 1940s. Nothing special about it. Check the ribbon. Probably needs replacing. I went to an office supply store that still carried typewriter supplies, bought a new ribbon, installed it. The old one came away in my hands, fabric crumbling slightly, black ink residue on my fingertips that didn't wash off completely even with soap. That night, I dreamed I was in my childhood home, in the kitchen, and my father was standing at the stove, even though he'd been dead for 6 years. He didn't turn around. I said his name, and he kept stirring something in a pot, wooden spoon scraping the bottom in a steady, circular rhythm. I tried to move closer, but my legs wouldn't respond. I stood in the doorway and watched his back, the familiar hunch of his shoulders, the frayed collar of his flannel shirt. The typewriter page was waiting in the morning. Every detail. I started sleeping on the couch, door to the bedroom closed. I set up my laptop on the kitchen counter so I could see the bedroom doorway while I made coffee. Nothing changed. The pages kept appearing. My dreams, transcribed with perfect accuracy. Details I wouldn't have remembered on my own, rendered in clean, factual prose. For a week, the dreams were mundane. Lost objects, old apartments, conversations I couldn't quite hear. Then they shifted. I dreamed I was in my apartment, in my bed, and someone was standing in the doorway. I couldn't see their face. The light from the street came through the window at the wrong angle, and their features stayed in shadow. They didn't move. I tried to sit up, and I couldn't. My body was locked, rigid. Only my eyes could move. I stared at the figure, and they stared back, and I couldn't tell if they were breathing. The page described it exactly. The paralysis, the angle of the light, the wrongness of the shadow. I called campus security, asked if there had been any break-ins reported in the area. The officer on the phone said no, everything had been quiet. Asked if I wanted to file a report. I said no. I said I was just checking. I started locking my bedroom door from the outside before I went to sleep on the couch. I checked the windows, I checked the fire escape. Everything was secure. The dreams got worse. I dreamed someone's hands were around my throat. I couldn't see them. I was on my back, in my bed, and the pressure was immense, crushing, and I couldn't breathe. I tried to claw at the hands, but my arms wouldn't move. My vision went dark at the edges, a tunnel collapsing inward, and I could hear my own pulse, a desperate hammering that grew fainter and fainter until I woke up on the couch, gasping, my hands at my own throat. The living room was gray with pre-dawn light. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stood up too fast, stumbled, caught myself on the arm of the couch. My throat ached. I went to the bathroom and turned on the light. There were bruises on my neck. Not faint, not ambiguous, dark,
distinct, the unmistakable shape of fingers pressed into flesh. 4 on the left side, 1 on the right, a thumb's width. I touched them and they were tender, a deep soreness that radiated down into my collarbone. I checked the locks on the front door, still engaged. I checked the windows, latched. I checked the fire escape from the bedroom window leaning out into the cold October air, and the iron grating was empty except for wet leaves and a plastic bag snagged on the railing. The typewriter sat on the coffee table, a fresh page in the roller. I pulled it out. My hands were shaking so hard the paper rattled. The text described the dream, the hands, the pressure, the suffocation, and then at the bottom, a single line I hadn't dreamed. You should check under the bed. I dropped the page. It drifted to the floor, landing face up, the words clear and black against the white. I looked at the bedroom door, still closed, still locked from the outside, the key on the counter where I had left it. I picked up my phone. My hands were shaking. I called 911, and the dispatcher's voice was calm, professional, asking me to state my emergency. I said I thought someone was in my apartment. She asked if I could see them. I said no. She asked if I had heard anything. I said no. She said officers were on the way. Stay on the line, stay in a safe location, do not confront anyone. I stood in the kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, and stared at the bedroom door.
The dispatcher kept talking, asking me questions, and I answered automatically. Yes, I live alone. No, I didn't give anyone a key. Yes, the door was locked when I checked. The bruises on my neck throbbed with my pulse. I heard the sirens. Close, then closer, then stopping outside. Heavy boots on the stairs. A knock on my door, firm and official. I unlocked it, and 2 officers stepped in, a man and a woman, both with hands near their belts. I pointed to the bedroom. I said I thought someone might be inside. I said I'd locked it from the outside, but I hadn't checked under the bed. The male officer told me to wait in the hallway. I stepped out onto the landing, and Mrs. O'Coffer's door cracked open below, her face peering up through the gap. The female officer unlocked my bedroom door with the key I gave her. I heard them enter, heard the closet door open, heard the scrape of something heavy being moved. Then silence. Then the male officer's voice, low and tight. "Ma'am, you're going to want to call this in." They brought him out in handcuffs 10 minutes later. I was sitting on the stairs, still on the landing, and I watched them guide him down. He was thin, maybe 30, wearing a gray hoodie and jeans, and his face was pale, unremarkable, the kind of face you'd forget immediately in a crowd. He looked at me as they passed. His eyes were calm. He smiled just a little, and I felt my stomach drop. The female officer stayed with me while the male officer took him down to the patrol car. She asked me questions. How long had I lived here? Did I know him? Had I noticed anything missing? I said 3 years. I said no. I said I didn't know, I hadn't checked. She said he'd been under the bed. She said there was a sleeping bag, a water bottle, granola bar wrappers. She said it looked like he'd been there for at least a few days. She asked if I'd been experiencing anything unusual, missing food, moved objects, sounds at night. I told her about the typewriter, about the dreams, about the pages. She wrote it down, her expression neutral, professional. She asked if I still had the pages. I said yes, they were on my desk. She bagged them as evidence. They cleared the apartment, checked every space, every closet, every cabinet large enough to fit a person. They found nothing else. They took statements. They took photos of my neck. They gave me a case number and a card with a victim advocate's phone number. They said he'd be held, that I could get a restraining order, that I should change my locks and consider a security system. They left at 9. The apartment felt too large, too empty. Every shadow suddenly deep enough to hold something. I called a locksmith. He came at noon, installed the deadbolt, gave me 3 new keys. I called my sister again. She said I should stay with her when she got back. I said, maybe. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch with the lights on and watched the bedroom doorway. The typewriter was still on the coffee table. I hadn't touched it since the police took the page. At 3 a.m, I heard a sound. Soft, rhythmic. The distant, muffled chunk, chunk, chunk of keys striking a roller. I stood up. My legs felt numb. I looked at the typewriter. The keys were still, but the sound continued, faint, coming from somewhere else. I followed it. Through the living room. Through the bedroom doorway. To the desk by the window. There was a page in the roller. Fresh. The typewriter I'd moved to the coffee table was behind me, silent and dark, but the page was there. Text appearing line by line as I watched, letters forming with each mechanical chunk. No hands, no figure, just the keys depressing on their own, the tight bars swinging up to strike the paper. I grabbed my phone. I called 911 again. Same dispatcher, she recognized my voice, said officers were coming back, asked me to describe what I was seeing. I said the typewriter was typing on its own. She paused, then said, "Stay on the line." The typing stopped. The apartment went silent, except for the radiator's tick and Mrs. O'Coffer's television below, a low murmur of voices. I pulled the page free. It described my apartment, my bedroom, me standing at the window, in my pajamas, phone in hand, reading a page. And then, "I know where your sister lives. I know her new address. The one in Portland she just moved into with her husband. The yellow house on Creston Street. 2nd floor. The bedroom window doesn't lock properly." The officers arrived. Different ones this time. I showed them the page. I showed them the typewriter on the coffee table, the other typewriter on the desk. I explained about the man they had arrested. They checked the apartment again. They checked the locks, the windows, the fire escape. They found nothing else. They asked if anyone else had a key. I said no. They asked if I had told anyone about my sister's address. I said no. She'd just moved. I had only been there once for the wedding prep. They took the page. They took photos of both typewriters. They said they'd follow up, that the man they had arrested was still in custody, that this might be a separate issue, that I should consider staying somewhere else for a few nights. They'd left. I called my sister. It rang 4 times, then 5, then voicemail. Her voice, bright and recorded. "Hey, you've reached Nicole. Leave a message." I said, "Call me back, it's important." I texted her, "Call me now." She called at 8 a.m. I was still awake, sitting on the couch staring at the typewriters. She said she'd been asleep. What was wrong? I told her about the page, about the address, about the window. She was quiet for a long time, then said she'd check the window, that she and Marcus would stay somewhere else for a few nights, that I should come stay with them. I packed a bag. I called campus, said I needed a few days for a family emergency. I looked at the typewriters, both of them, silent and inert on their respective surfaces. I unplugged my desk lamp, left the bedroom door open, grabbed my keys and my bag. I found his name through the police report. Jeremy Cates. No permanent address, no prior arrests in the state. I searched online, found a few social media profiles that might have been him, all private or abandoned. I found a news article from 2 years prior about a missing person case in New Hampshire, a woman who'd reported someone living in her walls. It found evidence of habitation, but no suspect. Her name was Andrea Loomis. I sent her a message through Facebook. She didn't respond. I stayed with my sister for a week. They arrested Jeremy Cates on charges of criminal trespass and stalking. His bail hearing was scheduled for the following month. I got the restraining order. I went back to my apartment with my sister and Marcus. We cleared out everything. I donated the typewriters to Goodwill, both of them. I didn't care where they ended up. I installed a camera in the bedroom, one in the living room. I put bars on the fire escape window. I started sleeping with a baseball bat next to the bed. I bought blackout curtains so no one could see in. I check under the bed every night before I sleep. I check the closets. I check behind the shower curtain. I test the locks on the doors and windows twice, sometimes 3 times. I listen for sounds that don't belong, footsteps, breathing, the scrape of metal on metal. I don't dream anymore, or if I do, I don't remember. I wake up every 2 hours, my body locked in that same rigid paralysis from the dream, and I have to remind myself to breathe, to move my fingers, to turn my head and confirm the room is empty. I haven't been back to Vermont. My sister calls every few days, asks how I'm doing, if I'm sleeping. I tell her I'm fine. She doesn't believe me. Marcus installed extra locks on their bedroom window. They don't talk about it, but I know. Jeremy Cates took a plea deal. 18 months, eligible for parole in 9. The prosecutor said it was the best they could do without more evidence. I didn't go to the sentencing. I got the notification by mail. He'll be out next summer. I still teach. I still grade papers. I still live in the apartment on Maple, 3rd floor, because I signed a lease and I can't afford to break it. But I don't feel like I live anywhere. I feel like I'm waiting for a sound, for a page, for the moment the locks don't hold. Last week, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed on a manual typewriter. The letters slightly uneven, the ink a faded gray. It said, "I've been practicing my typing." I reported it to the police. They said they'd look into it, that Cates was still incarcerated, that it might be a prank. They took the paper. They took the envelope. They said they'd follow up. I don't think they will. I check the locks. I check the windows. I check under the bed. And when the radiator starts its 5 a.m. clank and the room is still dark, and I'm caught in that space between sleep and waking, I listen for the sound of keys, for the chunk, chunk, chunk of metal on paper, for the proof that something is still writing my story, one line at a time, whether I'm awake or not.
I find the music box on a Tuesday afternoon in a yard sale that smells like dust and lavender sachets gone stale. The swan is tarnished silver, its neck curved in a question mark, and someone has scratched initials into its base, EM, deep enough to catch my thumbnail. The owner winds it for me with a gentle smile. The tune is simple, repetitive, the kind that gets stuck in your head. $20. I pay in cash. My apartment is on the 3rd floor of a converted textile mill. High ceilings, exposed brick, windows that rattle when trucks pass on the street below. I live alone, have for 2 years now, since the breakup. The music box sits on my nightstand next to a lamp and a water glass. I wind it before bed that first night. The melody plays out in 30 seconds, then clicks to silence. I work remotely, freelance editing. My days follow a rhythm. Coffee at 7, emails by 8, lunch at the kitchen table overlooking the parking lot. afternoon calls with clients who need their manuscripts tightened. Evenings are for reading, sometimes wine, always the blue glow of my laptop screen reflecting off the windows after dark. On Thursday morning, I hear the music while I'm in the shower. Faint, muffled by water and tile, but unmistakable. I turn off the tap. Silence. I stand there, dripping, listening to my own heartbeat before I convince myself that it came from a neighbor's apartment through the shared wall. That night, the music wakes me, not from the nightstand, from somewhere else. I lie still, tracking the sound. It's coming from the kitchen. I get up, bare feet on cold hardwood, and find the music box still on my nightstand where I left it. The melody continues, a child's lullaby humming from the direction of the sink. I check the pipes, nothing. I check my phone, 2:47 a.m. I don't wind the box the next day. The music plays anyway. Friday afternoon, while I'm on a call, it starts from inside my closet. I excuse myself, mute the line, and open the closet door. Coats, shoes, a vacuum cleaner. No music box. The tune continues from behind the coats. I push them aside. Brick wall. The melody stops the moment I touch the cold surface. Saturday, I move the music box to the kitchen counter, then to a drawer, then to a cardboard box in the hallway closet. Each time, the tune finds me from different corners of the apartment. It plays from under the floorboards near the bathroom, from inside the oven, from behind the headboard of my bed at 4 a.m., close enough that I bolt upright, gasping, my t-shirt soaked through. Sunday night, the music changes location. It's not coming from inside anymore. I wake to it drifting through my open window. I'd cracked it earlier because the radiator was pumping too much heat, and the sound is outside, below, in the garden courtyard shared by the 4 buildings in this complex. Nobody uses it much. Overgrown boxwood hedges, a stone bench, a path of broken pavers that leads nowhere. I pull on jeans and a sweater, slide my feet into sneakers. The music is clearer now, insistent. The October air bites, my breath fogs. The courtyard is dark, except for one security light near the corner of the adjacent building, casting long shadows through the hedges. The music is coming from the far end, where the property backs up against a fence and a line of oaks. I follow the path. Weeds push through the cracks in the stone. The tune grows louder. The ground changes texture under my feet. Softer, loose. I stop, look down, and see the pavers end. Ahead is just dirt and dead grass, and then the music stops. I take another step. The earth shifts. Not a lot, just enough. A hollow sensation, like walking on a board laid over a gap. I freeze. My pulse hammers in my throat. I crouch, press my palm flat against the ground. It gives slightly, not solid, not stable. I brush aside leaves and dirt with both hands, scraping, and my fingers find a wooden edge. Old wood, rotted, covered by years of debris. A cover. Planks laid over something. I pull my phone from my pocket, turn on the flashlight. The beam catches the outline of a circle, roughly 3 feet across. Someone built over this, tried to seal it, and the wood has degraded. I clear more dirt away and see gaps between the planks, black spaces underneath. The music starts again. Not from above, from below, from the well. I jerk back, scrambling to my feet, and the ground beneath my left foot collapses. Not just shifts, collapses. The planks snap, and my leg punches through into nothing, into open air and open space, and I drop. My knee slams into solid wood as the rest of me pitches forward. I throw my arms out, catch the edge of another plank, my phone tumbling into darkness. I hear it hit something far below, very far. The sound echoes. My right leg is still on solid ground.
My left is dangling. I try to pull myself up, and the plank under my hand splinters, cracks spiderweb outward from where my fingers grip. I can't get leverage. I'm sliding. My sneaker scrabbles against the inside wall of the well. I feel rough brick, moss, slime, and finds nothing to brace against. I'm going in. Something closes around my ankle. Tight, cold. The pressure is immense, a vice, and it yanks downward. Not gravity, not slipping, pulling. I scream. The sound tears out of me, raw and animal, and I claw at the dirt, at the grass, at anything. My nails break. The thing around my ankle pulls harder. I'm being dragged into the well, my hips sliding over the broken edge, splinters digging into my stomach, and the air is different down there, thick, stale, wrong. I can't breathe right. My chest is constricted. My vision grays at the edges. A hand closes around my wrist. A real hand, human, warm. A man's voice, "I've got you, don't move," and another hand grabs my other wrist. Two people, neighbors. Someone heard me scream. They haul upward. The grip on my ankle tightens viciously, then releases all at once, and I lurch out of the hole, dragged backward across dirt and grass until I'm 10 feet clear. I'm sobbing, shaking. My jeans are shredded at the knee, bleeding, and my hands are filthy and torn. The man is older, 60s maybe, in a bathrobe and boots. The woman with him is younger, 30s, holding a phone with the light on. She's already talking to someone. Yes, behind the main courtyard, there's a well. It's open. She almost fell in. And I'm gulping air that tastes like copper and rot. They walk me back inside. The woman, her name is Lauren, she lives in Building C, stays with me while the man, Derek, goes back out with a flashlight and a long stick to mark the area. Police arrive. Fire department. They cordon off the courtyard with yellow tape and floodlights. I sit in my apartment with a blanket around my shoulders, giving my statement to an officer who keeps asking if I was drinking, if I took anything, why I went out there at all. I tell him about the music. He writes it down without expression. "And this music box, where is it now?" I point to the hallway closet. He opens it, pulls out the cardboard box, unwraps the swan. He winds it. The tune plays, 30 seconds, clicks to silence. He hands it to me. "Do you want us to dispose of this for you?" I shake my head. I don't know why. He leaves it on the coffee table. They're out there until dawn, bringing up lights, equipment, someone with a camera. I watch from my window. Derek stops by before he leaves, asks if I'm okay, if I have someone I can call. I lie and say I do. After he's gone, I try. My sister doesn't answer. It's 6 a.m. on a Monday. I text her anyway. "Something happened. Call me when you can." I don't sleep. I sit on the couch as the sky goes gray, then blue, then fills with the ordinary sounds of morning, traffic, voices, a dog barking. And I wait for my hands to stop shaking. The police come back Tuesday afternoon. They've identified the well. It's pre-1900, part of the original property when this was farmland. City records show it was supposed to have been filled in during the mill conversion, but someone cut corners, just sealed it with planks and covered it. Negligence. Lawsuit territory. The officer asks again about the music. Was there anyone else in the courtyard? Did I see anyone? I shake my head. I don't tell him about the hand around my ankle. Lauren texts me that evening. The Historical Society is involved now. They're saying the well might be connected to something from the 1800s. There's talk of remains. I don't respond. Wednesday night, the music comes back. I'm lying in bed, rigid, staring at the ceiling when the tune starts. Not from the music box. I haven't wound it since Sunday. It's playing from inside the wall beside my bed. The same wall that backs up against the courtyard, 3 stories down where the well is.
The lullaby hums, slow and patient, and I feel the vibration through the plaster against my spine. I don't move. I barely breathe. The tune plays 3 times, 4, then stops. The silence afterward is worse. I lie there listening to my heartbeat until the sky lightens and I can pretend morning is close enough to get up. Thursday, I call a locksmith. I have him change the locks, install a deadbolt, add a chain. I buy blackout curtains for every window. I move my bed away from the exterior wall to the center of the room. I start sleeping with the lights on. I look up EM online, Ellis Mills, the textile factory that used to operate here. Built 1867, shut down 1923. In between, there are records, labor disputes, unsafe conditions, a fire in 1891 that killed 4 workers. Children worked the looms. The city archive has photographs. I zoom in on their faces, looking for anything familiar, anyone who might explain the scratched initials on the base of the swan. I find one. A girl, maybe 10, standing beside a loom. Dark hair, hollow eyes, wearing a gray dress too big for her frame. The caption reads, Ellis Mills, 1889. Workers included children as young as 8. Many injuries and fatalities were unreported. No names, just faces. The music plays again Friday night. This time from the floor vent in my bathroom when I'm brushing my teeth. I drop the toothbrush back against the sink and wait. The lullaby hums, then underneath it, a voice. High, thin, singing the same melody but with words I can't quite make out. Child's words. When I lean closer to the vent, the singing stops. I call Lauren. She tells me the well is still roped off, but they brought in an excavation team. They found bones. Old bones. Small bones. The investigation is ongoing. I stop winding the music box. I stop touching it. I leave it on the coffee table under a dishcloth, as if covering it will help. Saturday morning, I'm at my laptop when the music starts from the closet. The hallway closet where I'd stored the box days ago. I get up, walk over, open the door. Nothing inside but coats and the vacuum. The tune continues. I pull everything out, piling it on the floor, and press my ear to the back wall. The music is coming from the other side, from the shared wall, from Lauren's apartment. I text her. Do you hear music? Her reply is immediate. No. Why? I don't know how to answer.
The music stops. I put everything back, close the door, sit down at my laptop. I can't focus, can't work. I open a new search tab and type Children, Workers, Ellis Mills, Deaths, 1880s. The results are sparse. One mention in a local history book digitized by the library. During the winter of 1889, several child workers disappeared from the mill. Families reported them missing, but no formal investigation was conducted. It was believed they had run away or succumbed to illness. I closed the laptop. Now I check the courtyard every night before bed. I stand at my window and watch the floodlights they've left up, the shadows moving in the wind, the yellow tape fluttering. The excavation team finished their work Thursday. The well is sealed now, professionally, with concrete and a steel cap. The police closed their inquiry. Accidental hazard, no foul play. But the music keeps playing. Not every night, not on any schedule I can predict. Sometimes from the walls, sometimes from the floor, sometimes from nowhere I can pinpoint, just hanging in the air of my apartment like smoke. I don't sleep more than 3 hours at a time. I keep the lights on. I keep my phone charged, volume up, next to my pillow. I've started sleeping in my clothes, shoes nearby, just in case. In case of what, I don't let myself articulate. My sister finally calls. I tell her I had an accident, that I'm fine now. She asks if I want her to visit. I say no. I don't want anyone here. Because the music isn't random. I've started to notice. It plays after I've been still too long, after I've let my guard down, after I've closed my eyes. It plays like a warning or an invitation. And I think about the grip around my ankle, how deliberate it was, how strong, how the fingers felt, small fingers, child-sized, and how they knew exactly where to hold, exactly how to pull. The music box sits on my coffee table, still wrapped in the dishcloth. I haven't touched it in days, but every time the tune starts, I look at it, expecting it to move, expecting the swan's neck to turn toward me. It never does. But I don't think I bought the music box. I think it was meant to find me. I think E.M. carved those initials because she wanted someone to remember. And now, every night, when the lullaby hums through my walls, I lie awake and wonder if remembering is enough, or if she's still waiting at the bottom of the well, singing to anyone who'll listen. I haven't been back to the courtyard, but I hear her.
I buy the rug on a Thursday afternoon from an estate sale 3 blocks over. The house smells like ammonia and lavender sachets, and the woman running it keeps saying how her aunt collected textiles from all over. The rug is rolled tight, bound with twine that cuts into my palms when I carry it home. It's heavier than it looks. My apartment is a studio conversion on the second floor of a brick building built in 1912. One main room with a galley kitchen, a bathroom the size of a closet, and windows that face the alley where the dumpsters sit. I work remote for an insurance company, processing claims from a desk shoved against the radiator. The floors are scuffed hardwood, cold in winter, and I've been meaning to cover them for months. I unroll the rug that evening after microwaving leftovers. The pattern is dense, interlocking geometric shapes in rust, navy, and cream, with a border of stylized flowers I can't name. It fits perfectly in the space between my bed and the kitchen counter, which surprises me because I didn't measure. The wool has a coarse texture, almost abrasive under my bare feet. I push my furniture back into place and sit on the bed, eating cold lo mein and scrolling my phone. The apartment feels warmer somehow, fuller. I go to sleep around 11. The room looks different when I wake. Not dramatically, not in a way I can point to and name, but the distance between my bed and the opposite wall feels longer. The ceiling sits higher. I stand in the center of the rug and turn slowly, trying to catch what's wrong. The walls are the same pale yellow. The radiator hisses the same way it always does. My desk is exactly where I left it. I measure the room with my eyes, then with my feet, pacing heeled toe from wall to wall. 15 steps across. It's always been 15. I shake it off and make coffee. Over the next few days, I notice small things. The echo in the room sounds different. Voices from the hallway seem farther away. My neighbor's television, which usually bleeds through the wall in tinny bursts, is muffled. I catch myself looking at the rug more often than I should, watching the way shadows pool in its woven grooves. On Saturday morning, I find a faint smudge on the floor near the kitchen counter. It looks like a footprint, bare, too small to be mine. I wipe it away with a damp cloth and think nothing of it. By Monday, there are 3 more. They appear overnight, always in the same path, from the edge of the rug toward the bathroom, then looping back. The prints are distinct, narrow heel, high arch, 4 toes visible. I photograph them with my phone before scrubbing the floor. That night, I check the locks twice. The door is solid. The windows don't open more than 4 inches because of the safety latches. I live alone. I've always lived alone here. Tuesday morning, the proportions are wrong again. The rug seems larger, or the room seems smaller. I can't tell which. When I stand in the doorway and look at my bed, it feels like I'm seeing it through the wrong end of a telescope, distant and miniature. I call my mother during lunch break, but I don't mention it. She talks about my cousin's wedding and the new pharmacy that opened on her street. Her voice sounds thin, like it's traveling through more space than usual to reach me. That night I lie awake. Not the normal silence of late hours, but an absence. No traffic hum, no building creaks or radiator click, just my breathing and the faint whistle of sheets. I lie still, staring at the ceiling. Then I hear it, a soft, rhythmic padding. Footsteps, moving across the rug. I hold my breath and don't move. The sound continues, a slow circuit from the rug's edge to the kitchen, then back. Barefoot weight on wood. When I finally turn my head toward the sound, the room is empty. Moonlight from the alley cuts across the floor, illuminating nothing but furniture and shadow. The footsteps stop. I reach for the lamp. My hand shakes. The light blazes on, flooding the room in yellow glare. Everything is exactly where it should be. I get up and check the door again, locked, chain latched. I stand in the center of the rug and look down. The footprints are there, fresh, slightly damp, leading from the bathroom to a spot near my bed, then stopping abruptly at the rug's edge, right where my feet are now. I don't sleep the rest of the night. At dawn, I roll up the rug and shove it into the closet. The room immediately feels smaller, tighter, normal. I scrub the floor until my knuckles ache, bleach every trace of the prints. But when I open the closet to grab a jacket before work, I see the rug has unrolled itself. Just a little, just enough that one corner spills onto the closet floor. I leave it there and go to work at my desk, but I can't focus. My supervisor pings me twice about missed deadlines. I close my laptop at noon and stand at the window looking down at the alley. A man is loading trash bags into the dumpster. A cat picks through a cardboard box. Ordinary. Real. When I turn back to the room, the rug is on the floor again. Fully unrolled, perfectly positioned. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it move. It's just there, like it never left. That night, I don't fight it. I leave the rug where it is and lie in bed with my phone clutched in one hand, ready to call 911. Around 2 a.m., the footsteps start again. This time, they don't stop at the rug's edge. They continue past my bed toward the bathroom. I hear the door creak open, except I never closed it. The footsteps move inside. Water runs briefly, then stops. When I force myself to look, the bathroom is dark and still. I wait. The footsteps return, closer now. They stop beside my bed. I can feel the presence, a weight in the air, a shift in temperature. The smell hits me. Old dust, dry rot, something faintly chemical. I squeeze my eyes shut and count my breaths. 1, 2, 3. When I open them, the room is empty. But there's a new sound, a faint scraping, metal on metal, coming from the far corner of the room near the radiator. I turn on the light and cross the floor following the sound. The radiator sits flush against the wall, same as always, but to its left, in the corner where I keep a cardboard box of old tax documents, there's a door. A small door, maybe 4 feet high, painted the same yellow as the walls, easy to miss. The handle is black iron, shaped like a bent finger. I've lived here for 2 years. There's never been a door. The scraping sound is the latch, moving on its own, lifting, dropping, lifting,
dropping. I back away slowly, my spine pressing into the opposite wall. The latch lifts one more time and stays up. The door swings inward, revealing darkness and a smell so thick that it makes my throat close. Stale air, old earth, something sweet and rotten underneath. I should run. I should leave. I should call someone. Instead, I watch the footprints appear. They form on the floor in real time, one after another, leading from the door toward me. Bare feet, the same narrow heel, the same 4 toes. They cross the rug, leaving faint impressions in the wool's pile, and stop 2 feet from where I stand. I can't see what's making them, but I can feel it. Breathing, waiting. The latch on the door clicks shut. I lunge for the main door, but my legs won't work right. The air feels thick, resistant. Every step takes effort, like walking through gelatin. My hand reaches the doorknob and closes around it, but it won't turn. The chain is still latched, but the knob itself refuses to move. I yank it harder, nothing. The footprints behind me start moving again. They walk slowly toward the small door. I follow them with my eyes, my body frozen against the main door. The small door swings open again, wider this time. The darkness inside isn't empty, it has texture, depth. I can see rough stone stairs descending. The footprints stop at the threshold. Then they turn and come back toward me. I press myself flat against the door. The smell intensifies. I taste it now, mineral, like licking a battery, mixed with something organic and spoiled. The footprints stop inches from my own feet. The air in front of me shifts, and I feel it. A hand, cold, dry, pressing against my chest. It pushes. Not hard, just a steady pressure, moving me away from the door. I stumble backwards, and the pressure follows, guiding me across the room. My heels hit the rug's edge. The hand on my chest becomes 2 hands, one on each shoulder now, though I still see nothing. They turn me to face the small door. The darkness inside the doorway moves. It breathes outward, a gust of that choking, stale air. The hands on my shoulders tighten their grip and push me forward. I dig my heels into the rug, but it's useless. The wool slides beneath me. I'm moving toward the door, whether I want to or not. My hands shoot out to brace against the door frame, catching the sides. Splinters bite into my palms. The stone stairs descend into absolute black. No light reaches the bottom. The air coming up is cold and wet and wrong. The hands shove harder. My feet cross the threshold. The first step is slick under my sole. I slip, catch myself, and the momentum carries me down 2 more steps. The door is above me now. The frame of yellow light from my apartment shrinks. I try to climb back up, but the hands are still on me, on my shoulders, my back, my head now, pushing me down, down, down. My vision tunnels. The darkness swallows me. I can't breathe. The air is too thick. It coats my throat, my lungs. I cough and gag, my legs giving out. I'm on my knees on the stone steps, and the hands are still pushing, pressing my face toward the cold rock. I hear a sound from above. Distant. Muffled. 3 sharp knocks. Then 3 more. The hands release me. I gasp and scramble upward, clawing at the stairs. My shoulders slam into the doorframe. I haul myself through, collapsing onto the rug. The small door slams shut behind me, the sound like a gunshot. I cough until I retch, my lungs burning. The knocking continues.
Someone is at my door. I crawl across the floor, my hands shaking so badly I can barely unlatch the chain. I wrench the door open. A man in a blue uniform stands in the hallway, holding a package. His badge says USPS. He's older, maybe 60, with gray stubble and tired eyes. Delivery, he says. Needs a signature. I stare at him. My throat is too raw to speak. He looks past me into the apartment, and his expression shifts. "You okay?" I nod, then shake my head, then nod again. He holds out the electronic pad. I sign with a trembling finger. He hands me the package, something for a neighbor, wrong address, and lingers in the doorway. "You need me to call someone?" "No," I manage. My voice comes out hoarse. "I'm fine." He doesn't believe me, but he leaves anyway. I close the door and lock it. The apartment is silent. I turn slowly. The small door is gone. The corner where it appeared is just a corner again. Yellow wall, radiator, cardboard box. I cross the room and press my hands against the wall, solid. No seam, no handle, no door. But the rug is soaked. A dark stain spreads across its center, as if something wet walked across it and didn't dry. The smell of rot lingers. I touch the stain, and my fingers come away damp and gritty, like mud mixed with ash. I roll up the rug again, drag it to the hallway, and shove it down the trash chute. The next day, the rug is back. I find it in the morning, unrolled on the floor, the stain still wet. I call the building super, and he comes up with a dolly. We carry it to the basement together and toss it in the industrial dumpster behind the building. I watch the garbage truck take it away on Thursday. On Friday, it's on my floor again. This time, there are footprints leading from the corner, from where the door used to be, straight to my bed. I move out that weekend. I stay with my mother for a month, sleeping on her couch, telling her I'm having the apartment fumigated. When I finally go back to get my things, the rug is gone. But the corner where the door appeared feels wrong. The air there is colder. The wall, when I touch it, vibrates faintly, like something is moving on the other side. I hire movers. They pack everything in 4 hours. I don't look back. I live in a different building now, 3rd floor, new construction. No radiators, no hardwood, no corners that don't make sense. I check the locks every night before bed. I leave lights on in every room. I don't buy rugs. I don't attend estate sales. But sometimes late at night, I hear it. The soft padding of bare feet, the scrape of a latch, the smell of stale air creeping under my door. And I wonder if the door followed me, or if I brought something back when I crawled out of the dark. I wonder if it's waiting for the right moment to open again. I don't sleep much anymore.